Of all the box office bombs of 2022, and believe me, there were plenty of them, the most undeserving was Damien Chazelle's Babylon. What appeared on the surface to be little more than an advertisement for drugs, sex, and non-stop parties turned out to be a cinematic experience that rivaled the likes of Avatar: The Way of Water. And sure, this wasn't a film meant to win over everybody, certainly not the faint of heart with its fair share of debauchery, but the narrative that unfolded in Babylon brought to light multiple nuggets of wisdom that arguably made it the most compelling film of the year. If Chazelle's last hit La La Land was all about people chasing their dreams, then Babylon is very much the spiritual successor, in that it's entirely about creating the dream to chase. At its core, this film is a love letter to the silver screen, and it truly drives home the principle that Hollywood is bigger than any one person. It's a collaborative effort, comprised of teams of dedicated people all working together to bring films to life. Nevertheless, Hollywood can also be unforgiving, and what Babylon demonstrates so candidly is the difference between those who play and those who pay. While there are many substances heavily abused in this film, none are more dangerous than fame itself. We see firsthand what happens to those who can't get enough of it. Tragic characters like Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad and Margot Robbie's Nellie Leroy demonstrate the heavy price one pays for stardom. Jack struggles with the transition away from silent films, and his fame takes a hit because of his inability to adapt. At the same time, Nellie begins the film claiming she's a star, thrusting herself fully into that lifestyle, which proves to be her undoing by the film's end. On the other side of the coin, we have characters like Lady Faye and Sidney Palmer, who find themselves at a crossroads in their pursuit of fame. They both want the spotlight, but choose to play by the rules, in that they never compromise who they are. Lady Faye repeatedly struggles with rejection, and once she realizes Hollywood isn't the only place to make a name, heads to Europe. Similarly, Sidney just wants to play music for people, and while at first is excited to be in films, eventually meets the heartless side of Hollywood and decides to quit, going on to make a name for himself on his own terms. Then we have our protagonist, Manny Torres, who falls somewhere in between. He's not driven by fame, but is instead motivated to be part of something bigger. As such, we share in his enthusiasm as we watch him climb the ranks. But unlike any other character, Manny encounters the underbelly of Hollywood and makes the decision to abandon it altogether. True, he isn't given an alternative. It's run away or die at the hands of a crazed mob boss. And while Lady Faye and Sidney toe the line by playing things straight, the same can't be said for Jack or Nellie, both having crossed that line long ago. They shine bright before completely spiraling out of control. Now, with all that being said, the film isn't without its flaws. A number of scenes could have been cut to improve the pacing, especially going into the final act. Additionally, multiple similarities to Singin' in the Rain can be viewed as self-indulgent, but no more so than Avatar. Speaking of which, many blamed Margot Robbie for the film's failure, but then praised James Cameron for Avatar's success. Both inherently flawed takes, as, again, Babylon's guiding message is that Hollywood is a team effort. Jean Smart's character summarizes this beautifully in what might be the best scene of the film, when she tells Jack that though his time in the spotlight has ended, he's achieved immortality all the same. In the other standout scene in the film, Nellie criticizes the people who ruin ice cream by adding toppings, claiming that it messes up a good thing. The same can be said for how one traverses Tinseltown. On its own, being a part of something bigger than yourself should be enough, but the more toppings you add to that lifestyle, like hardcore drugs and excessive gambling, the more likely you are to ruin that good thing. Nellie adds that one day she'll dance away into the night, failing to recognize that dance will be her star going out. Whether you love it or hate it, it can't be denied. Babylon reminds us why we go to the theater in the first place, to celebrate the spectacle that is cinema. The good, the bad, the real, and the imagined. It presents Hollywood as a concept, more than a location, and brings us together as one through that magic they call the movies.